for more on this, let's have the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, Scott Bauer, join the conversation with Ben and I. Scott Bauer, welcome to the show, buddy. Here's what we're doing, Scott. All we can do, the best service we can give our TD Ameritrade clients today is to get as many opinions from good, smart, fundamentally sound traders as we can and give them to our clients. What is it that you're seeing most important today in this trading day? I'm interested to hear your thoughts here.
We've still had the massive range, especially if you go to last night to where we are now. I would love to see that, Kevin, start consolidating a little bit. Even if we traded in a 5% range, given where we've been, that would be the start of a consolidation. And in my opinion, is just as important to starting to form maybe a bottom of the market as anything else. We're still seeing, wild volatility, both up and back, and it's real hard to get a gauge on what is going on. That being said, there is a lot of opportunity trading out there.
Scott, I wanted to just ask you if you had taken notice in terms of the strength. I'm not sure if you heard me and Kevin talking about it a minute ago, but this is quite the move. Up to 103. Spot 575. We're posting new highs right now as we speak. The British pound below 2017 Brexit lows. We've got the euro currency, which is lagging a bit to the downside relative to the move up in the dollar, but that's down to April 2017 levels. This is quite the move. Have you taken notice?
Oh, 100%. And here's the bottom line is the Fed did something which they did, 12 years ago during the middle of the financial crisis. Is basically they opened up the spigot, not just to Bank of Canada, Bank of England, Bank of Japan, ECB, who they have reciprocal agreements with, but they opened it up to Australia, Brazil, South Korea, Mexico, Sweden, Denmark, so that all of these other currencies, all of these other countries could tap into the dollar, right? Which they normally don't have the liquidity to be able to do so like that. And they did this to ensure that these other dollar-dependent financial systems, and you'll note that the countries that I mentioned are all dollar-dependent, so that they can continue to function. So basically, it's almost like there's a run on the dollar for the for the free economic countries of the world.
Yeah.
Scott Bauer, with the S&Ps up 2%. The VIX looks like it's having trouble here holding this 70 handle. Does the range in the VIX today, hitting a high of close to 84, and now looks like it wants to break 70 as we get to the bottom of the hour here, is that giving you a little bit of comfort in terms of, even though there was some wild swings overnight and early this morning, we're starting to settle down a bit here?
We are, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, Kevin, is we'd like to see some consolidation in the marketplace. If you look at the VIX curve going out, though, look to, I believe it's May. May earlier was trading at about 65, and that's trading, 60-ish now? So you are seeing not just the spot VIX come in a little bit, but you're also starting to see that curve, not as steep. You're starting to see that curve flattening as well. That is a comforting feeling. However, I would not suggest anybody get too complacent with that.
Scott, let's talk a little bit about what's to come in terms of what all this means and as the dust settles, because you were just talking about how the VIX is sort of pricing out a little bit less volatility to come. Gold called for crude to 20. They got it. Now they're saying GDP could see a decline of 14%. There's a lot of talk of recession out there.
Well,
is there any way to avoid it, Scott?
So 14% is, when you talk about it in nominal terms, in real terms, 14% from $20, Ben, you're only talking about a decline of another $2.80. So if you look at it like that, it's not that much. However, 14% is still 14%. I think there's just so much uncertainty here about when we are going to hit the top of the infections and when we can start to look on the other side, that everyone that's putting out these expectations, whether it's Goldman, whomever it is, honestly, they're good to listen to, but in my opinion, my humble opinion, take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah, they're just guesses.
Totally. They really are. They're not just, kind of throw the dart and hit the bullseye,
Right.
but they are just guesses at this point. They really are. Hopefully we see GDP positive by the third quarter. But, everybody coming out and saying that we're going to have a negative 15 number, let's say in Q2. How are you managing that? How are you really, really crunching the numbers on that?
Yeah, Scott, I really like the fact that, because I preach on this network on a daily basis, that hyperbole, the markets, they will always go towards the worst case scenario. And rarely in the real markets where we trade real money do you ever see the worst case scenario. But they'll take you there. They'll take you to zero if you let the rhetoric heat up. All right, Scott Bauer, final thoughts as we get here towards coming up to that all-important 2 o'clock hour in Chicago.
Yeah, you mentioned in the previous segment, Kevin, I agree with you. That's when traders, risk managers, funds, that's when they're letting their money speak for where they really think the market is going, whether it's just a 24-hour period or not. So that last hour of the day is really, really significant. What we've seen today in S&P's down 60 and S&P's up 30 and all sorts of gyrations in the middle, that's great. And it's great that and I'm looking up here, it's great that we're in the green right now, but it is so important to see this stabilize. I don't even want to see a 1,000-point rally into the close. I would rather we stay right here in a very consolidated range over the next hour and 20 minutes. To me, that's a much better potential outcome than seeing a big 1,000-point run one way or the other.
Guys, reminds me of the old Cool Hand Luke saying, sometimes nothing can be a real cool hand.
I love that, Ben. I got to go watch that movie tonight.
All right, Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. Thank you so much for coming on. As always, you always grace us with your presence. We appreciate seeing you. Have a good day, buddy.